If you're an actor looking for honest conversations about those tricky early years of the industry, then keep on watching as we figure out how we can get from the couch to the call sheet. Hi, it's Aimee and welcome back to Couch to Call Sheet, the series where we explore and chat about what it's really like to be an actor in those tricky upcoming years of the industry as we start our careers as young emerging actors. So hello if you are new here, and welcome back if you are one of my people who have watched all of my previous 4 episodes, i.e. my mother and father. So hello, Chris and Gavin. So episode 5 today, as I said last time, is going to be about theatre versus screen. So we're just going to have a bit of a fun chat about the differences between stage and screen, the different mishaps that I've had on stage versus screen, and the different approaches and acting methods that we have to undertake for different mediums and the different joys that you get from working with different mediums. So I just thought it would be quite a fun one to speak about today. So if that is of interest to you, then keep on watching as we get into episode 4. I don't know whether this is just me, but for the longest time I've always had the debate in my head and in my heart of whether I want to pursue musical theatre or whether I want to pursue screen or straight acting, as it were. I did a lot of musical theatre as a kid, like my first professional job, and it still is probably my biggest job to this day, is I was in the UK tour of Chitty Chitty Bang Bang as a little sewer child. Can remember it like it was yesterday. It was the best time of my life, and very much is the reason I want to be an actor, I think. So from then on, I kind of did a lot of musical theatre as a kid. I did The Wiz, I did West Side Story, I did West Side Story, it was like a little amateur production. But I did Annie, like I did all of the kids shows. So I very much kind of thought musical theatre is where I'm going to land. But as I kind of got older, obviously I spoke in a few of my previous episodes, I didn't get into drama school for MT, and I think that kind of turned my perspective on musical theatre and how easy it is to get into. I think it turned it a little bit sour because I wasn't finding success with musical theatre as an adult. And even now, anytime I have a musical theatre self-tape or have to go to a dance call, I struggle. And I think it's more of an internal confidence thing, because whenever, like, I can film a self-tape for a straight play within half an hour, do 3 takes and be done with it. However, when I self-tape for musical theatre and I have to sing on camera, it takes me hours, and I just cannot kind of get the performance out. I'm worrying about the notes, and there's just something about it that I really struggle with. And I think in recent months I've started to listen to that and have been like, if it is giving you that much anxiety or stress when you get a musical theatre tape, or maybe that's telling you that that isn't actually where you're going to land, and that's fine. And obviously I did an MA in acting, so for the last few years my focus has been a lot more on straight acting and Stanislavski and Meisner and all of that kind of stuff, rather than Defying Gravity at 9 a.m. But I also feel like I'm okay with that, and I feel happy with straight acting, and I feel a lot better at that than I do necessarily at musical theatre. But I've always had that debate, and I don't know whether anyone else has kind of had that, if you've done musical theatre as a kid or even as an adult, having that debate of, do I want to be an MT actor or do I want to be like this kind of actor? And absolutely not saying that you can only be one. Obviously you can do anything, and loads of MT actors do straight acting and straight actors do musical theatre. Like, you can absolutely do both, and I still get tapes for both. But I feel like starting out, sometimes you do almost kind of have to pigeonhole yourself into one. Like, I don't have time to go to dance classes, I don't have time to go to singing lessons, really, when I'm doing all of this other stuff. Straight acting, I'm doing this. Like, I feel like I just don't have time to perfect my craft in both disciplines, so I feel like I've had to make that decision of leaving one behind to pursue another. I don't know. Is that just me? Maybe, I don't know if anyone else has kind of feel like they've had to make a decision with that. But I very much enjoy singing now for fun. Like, I love singing in the car. I sound 10 times better when I'm singing, like, in our rehearsal rooms at work, just for fun. As soon as there's a camera in there, it completely changes the dynamic for me. So, yeah, I feel like I've parked MT potentially for the time being. When it comes to the differences of theatre versus screen, the obvious ones are that theatre is live and in person, and screen is, recorded, and if you make a mistake you can do it 10 times over. Theatre, you're on for a week, you do it once a night, and you've got 2 hours to do your work, and then you never do it the same way again. And that's what I really enjoy about it, is that you get different audience each night, different set of company members, different cast, understudies, different musicians, whatever it is, and it's different every time. And I think that's really exciting and keeps you on your toes as an actor. I think sometimes when I've done screen stuff, you become quite comfortable in the fact that, oh, like, we can do it again, or if I muck up, I can do it one more time. And it's actually, but time is money. I might not get the chance to do it again. So kind of every time that you do something on screen, do it to your best ability, because the director might actually be like, let's move on. So yeah, there's nothing worse sometimes when you feel like on screen you've not done your best performance, you're like, oh, I want to give it one more go, and they're like, oh, we haven't got time, let's go for lunch. It's like, but I wasn't very good, please let me do it again. But a quote that I remember from either reading it somewhere or hearing it in an interview is that screen is a director's playground and the theatre is an actor's playground. Couldn't agree more. The theatre, rehearsals, being on stage is where the actors are allowed to work, and where we're allowed to try things, and where we can engage with the audience and we can engage with each other. Like, the theatre is for actors, I guess, and it is the place where we're allowed to play. I guess on screen, the director knows what he wants. The director is telling everybody what to do, and the director has a vision, and they tell you in a nutshell how they want that vision to be executed. Obviously on screen there's still scope for you to be creative and develop the character, but a lot of the time you're doing that with the director and the sound person and the makeup person to create kind of a bigger picture of what, you know, a writer has already determined. Obviously there is still an element of that on stage, but whenever I've done theatre projects versus screen projects, I've always found the theatre projects a lot more freeing and engaging to me as an actor to work with, if that makes sense. I guess theatre is just so much more open. You have a physical space to interact with, and you have people that you can see that you can't really interact with, but you also do interact with at the same time, because you're still making them feel something and you're still telling them something and showing them stories. Whereas obviously screen is, you know, here's the camera, there's 10 guys with boom mics and lights and stuff behind, you know, so I know that they're there, but I'm also having to pretend that they're not there, and there's no audience, but, you know, the audience, where are they going to be, and how will they look at this shot, and how do I approach the audience? There's, you know, as a screen actor, you have to think a lot more technically, obviously, about your marks and the camera and people around you, and ignoring what other people are saying, but also being present in the moment. Like, it's hard work, and, you know, I haven't done a massive thing on set. I did some extra work on Waterloo Road a few years ago, and that kind of is it for me on screen at the moment, in terms of, like, proper telly. But there's a lot going on in there, and it can be quite overwhelming a lot of the time, because there's so much to think about, and technically things you have to make sure that you achieve for the sake of everybody else. So it's like, you don't want to waste other people's time and energy and money. It's like, you know, you have to get it right, and that is a skill I think you have to learn over time. Like in drama school, it's all well and good rocking up at 9am and, you know, there being 10 of your mates in the room, you hit the mark and then you do your scene like this, but it's like, there's no, in a way I don't think that prepares you actually for the reality of what the industry is, because there isn't 10 boom guys, there isn't a makeup artist trying to touch you up, there isn't, that was worded wrong, there isn't the director in your ear telling you to do it this way. Do you know what I mean? So I'm desperate for kind of some more on-screen experience, because I think there's a lot to factor in. Whenever I do stuff on screen, I'm like 95% in character, but there's always 5% of me that is still me, because obviously, you know, I'm acting with my scene partner, but there's 5% of me that's like, where's the camera? Where's the best angle that, you know, for me to get my expressions in shot? Where's my mark? Where's the light? Oh, I have to do that in a moment. So you have to be consciously thinking, but almost in an unconscious way, to make it look like you're not thinking. It's a skill. Like, it's not easy, and, you know, I want to get better at that and do more screen stuff, but that takes time. I think as well, one of the most important differences is that screen is about stillness and is about subtlety and about being as small as you can, whereas theatre is about being as big as you can. I don't mean big as in, you know, you suddenly have to be really loud and boisterous and you have to be moving your body back and forth everywhere, but you have to use your body a lot more, and you have to think about your expressions and how to reach those people in the upper circle, and how you express your emotion to the people in the back, and how you make sure you touch everybody in that theatre with what you're doing. Like, a mic doesn't amplify your sound, it doesn't make you louder. We had a show in recently at work where we got loads of complaints about the sound, and the technical crew were saying, like, the mics are fine, like it's actually the actors that need to raise their volume a bit. So, I remember at drama school, that was one thing they kind of emphasised, is that you need to be louder, as in the actor, you need to project, because the mic will only get you so far. It doesn't make you louder, it just exaggerates the volume a bit. So you have to think about all of that, and you have to make sure you can be seen and make sure that you can be heard, because the people in the first 5 rows will see what you're doing with this. That's why when I go to the theatre, I like sitting at the front, because I like seeing all of this. But at the back, the people have still paid for the same experience, they've still paid for the same show, so how can you fulfill that responsibility of making sure they still understand the story and get the same experience? For screen, you obviously have to be a lot more still and subtle, and there's little movements that have a bigger impact on screen rather than bigger movements that will have a bigger impact on stage, if that makes sense. There was a quote, was it from Ben Kingsley? I don't know why that's the name shouting out to me at the moment. He said, the camera is allergic to acting. And I really like that, because, the camera is, for a screen project, the camera is just following you through your life, through this situation that your character is going through. The camera is just there. It doesn't want to pick up you forcing the acting coming through. It doesn't want to pick up you really trying. Like, it should just be you existing, and the camera is there to just capture that. So you don't need to be doing this really, like, Romeo, wherefore art thou, kind of bit. It's the subtleties that actually really come through 10 times better on screen. Like, I think if you watch, I watched Tuna recently in the cinema, and the scene, if anyone hasn't seen that, I would fucking highly recommend. Like, it was so good. And there was a scene where Leo Woodall is chatting to Ruthie, and the scene where he's like, you don't think I'm working towards anything? And it was just on him, and it slowly zoomed in on him, and like, he was doing nothing but everything at the same time. Like, there was no big, dramatic pause and performance, and there was no shouting. Like, it was just the most gorgeous piece of acting ever, where it was just all about the eyes and his objective and what he wanted to get through to her, and the camera picked up on that. Like, he wasn't performing, he was just existing, and that's what the camera wants to see. There was also another phrase, I guess, that's kind of around, is that the camera is your best friend. So, like, treat the camera as your best friend. And I don't feel like it's hard to explain, but I get that whenever I film something. I'm like, we're friends. I'm not scared of the camera. The camera's not scared of me. We're just existing together. We like hanging out. The camera's there, but you're my best friend, so I know that you're there. You're not bothering me. I don't know. I've just heard that, and I've always kind of resonated with hearing that the camera is your best friend. On screen generally, I've not really had many mishaps, but there was a project I did recently. Nothing went wrong as such, but I wouldn't have even said it was like the hardest thing I've ever had to do. It was just probably the weirdest thing I've had to do. It was a short film for a film school in London, and it was the majority of the film was set in a bath, and I was in the bath in jeans and a sweater for 3 hours. I was in the bath with the other actor, and it was more of like a visual artistic kind of short film, so there wasn't any dialogue. He said like one line to me, and I was sat in this bath, but because of like continuity and like all of that kind of stuff, I had to stay. Well, I didn't have to stay in the bath, but bless them, the team were great. They kept checking on me, and they were like, do you want to get out? Like, do you need anything? And I was like, honestly, I think staying in the bath is better for me, because if I get out, I'm then going to enjoy not being wet and soaked with heavy jeans. I just need to stay. I'm actually relatively warm. I'm not uncomfortable. I just need to stay in this bath. Like, that will be the best thing for me at the minute. So they were like, all right. I actually think the worst bit, though, was when I did get out of the bath after 3 hours of shooting. I then just stood on a towel for an hour whilst they reset the bathroom for the next scene. But I still needed to be wet for the next shot, so I literally stood on a towel dripping in the middle of this person's flat for an hour, soaked head to toe, in denim and thick jumper material. That was not nice. But that is, I guess, kind of how it goes, and there are the little things that you have to do. And, you know, I think I've got quite a good work ethic in the way that, you know, I understand that there's time and there's money, and I'm quite happy to do anything. Like, if there's something I don't want to do, I won't do it, and I'll say, yo, I don't want to do this. But I was fine. Like, it was a little uncomfortable, but we got the shot done. The film looked great. But yeah, I didn't like the soaking wet denim jeans. I have had a few onstage mishaps though. One notably being when I was doing my sixth form play at the end of the year, and I died on stage. And I was lying there like dead on the front of stage, and the guy who was playing my brother came down and was like mourning over my dead body, and he had a nose ring in, like, I don't know what it's called, like under there. He had a nose ring in, and he came down and he was like by my head, like kind of, you know, gave me a kiss or whatever, and my hair got caught in his nose ring. My hair got caught in his nose ring, and I felt him trying to get back up from, you know, kind of sobbing over my dead body, and it was stuck, and I was like, you're on your own here. Like, I literally cannot do anything to help you because I'm dead. And I could feel him just trying to get up, and he was also still crying at the same time. He was like, trying to get this fucking nose ring out of my hair. It took him a good 5 goes to get it out, and in the end he had to kind of, you know, come in and be like, and like move my hair out of his nose ring. I just thought, oh my god, like the examiner, everybody is sat right in front of him. I think he covered it well, but I was like close to tears. I was laughing internally so much, and I thought, oh my god, I can't help you, mate, you're on your own. I do also have this other thing on stage which happens, and I'm not going to say it, I'm going to put it at the bottom of the screen because I don't want to speak this into existence because I'm really trying to get out of this. I'll put it up here now, but this happens every time I'm on stage. The last couple of projects I've done, I was Sandy in Greece, happened on opening night. I did a monologue showcase a couple of years ago, happened on the night. My Arts Ed final play happened on opening night. I did a show at the Lambeth Fringe last year, happened on opening night. So I'm not going to say it because I've got 2 stage projects coming up, one in August, and I'm doing a tour next year. It can't happen, and I don't know how to get over this or how to not, you know, make this not happen, because it's now become a bit of a thing. So if anyone has any suggestions for how to get over this thing, and I'll put it again here, if anyone's forgot, then please, I'm all ears, because it's not good, and it is anxiety inducing, and every opening night I'm now like, oh my fucking god, am I going to do the thing? Obviously with live theatre, things can go wrong, and forgetting your lines on stage is like one of the worst feelings in the world, and I would never wish it upon anyone. It feels horrendous, and I don't know how to get out of it. Like, people say, if you forget your lines, just skip to the next bit that you remember. But when I forget my lines, I forget my lines. I've got nothing left in here. I've got no memory. I've got no help. No one's coming to save me. I have nothing. To the point where, like, I'm like relying on someone else to save me. I kind of give an eye, like for the play that I did at the Lambeth Fringe. You know, I'd rehearsed this scene however many times. Did about a minute of the scene. And then I was looking at my partner and I was like, I've got nothing left. And it was like a police scene, and I was like doing some writing, and I was like, I don't know what's coming next. And I kind of looked up to him, and, you know, I was doing like a pause as if I was thinking like, And then I did manage to think of a little bit, but it was so far ahead in the scene that the scene made sense, but it also almost didn't at the same time because we missed out so much. But I thought, that's the next bit I remember. I'm going to have to just cut to that. And afterwards he said to me, did you forget your lines? I was like, yes. And he said, I thought you did, because I either thought that you were doing a really cool actory pause, or I thought she's forgot her lines. I was like, it was the latter, babe. I completely forgot them. whenever I've had that debate of do I do theatre or do I do screen, I'm always think like I don't have to choose like one or the other. You know, I can work towards both because there are things to enjoy in both disciplines. Like with theatre, I love the fact that the audience is there for the whole ride with you, and I love that you can hear them laugh and you can hear them cry and you can hear them gasp, and I love hearing that because I'm like, oh well, it means I'm doing my job either well or, you know, not well. If I'm making them cry, it's like, oh well, I wasn't meant to make them cry with this bit, but that's amazing if they responded in that way. Or if there is nothing better when you're doing something comedic and you hear people laugh and you're like, this is good. When people gasp, like sometimes people gasp or laugh when you've done it how many other times in rehearsal and you've never had that reaction, and then suddenly with this audience they react in a certain way and it changes everything for you, and you're like, oh my gosh, well they've interpreted that in that way, and that's really cool. So I just love the unpredictability of it, but I also hate the unpredictability of it. The fact that something might go wrong and you have to improvise. And obviously that's what you're trained to do, but it doesn't make it any easier. But I love the fact that the audience are there and that you can respond to them and that you can look people in the eye or not. And then at the end, when you come on to do a bow, you receive that love and you receive that energy. I just think is a really lovely thing as an actor. But on screen, I love the fact that it's a team effort and that there's people making a soundtrack and there's people making costume and there's people making set, and that all comes together in one neat little bow of an hour and a half screen performance that you can see, you know, time and time again, and it's just a showcase of everyone's work. And I feel like I've always thought this, if I was to ever, you know, be in a big movie, I feel like I would watch everything that I do purely from the fact that I want to see everyone else's work come together. A bug. I could feel something crawling on my leg. You know, over time on a set, you get to know everybody and you appreciate and understand everyone else's work. So I feel like I couldn't not watch things back because I'd want to see how the soundtrack sounded with that scene that I filmed and how that piece of set looked with that lighting shot. Like I'm really interested in all of that other stuff at the same time. So even if I thought, you know, I was a bit shit in that, don't want to watch it. It's like, well, it's not about you. I want to see how it works as the bigger picture. So, yeah, I know some people don't like watching themselves on screen, but I really don't mind it because I like seeing how it works as a collective. So, yeah, if I ever do anything, I will be in the cinema to watch it. But I think we're very lucky as actors to have different mediums that we're able to work with and interchangeable skills that we have to apply to both disciplines. I think it keeps us on our toes, and I think it makes us well-rounded actors if we can do stage and screen, because, you know, on stage you're having to work with volume and having to work with your body and spacing. On screen you're having to learn to adjust that and lower your voice and minimize your actions. So it keeps us well trained and it keeps us engaged, and I like that we're constantly learning whenever we're on a different job, and every job is different, and I think that's the one thing I find so exciting about this industry, and I think is the reason why I keep going with it, is because every job is different and every day looks different and nothing will ever be the same, and there's something to learn on every new job, there's something to learn on every audition or tape that you do. It will always teach you something, and I think that's a reason that I keep going with it and why I love to work across plays, musical theatre and screen. So I hope to get as many jobs as I can in all three of those disciplines. But yeah, I think that might wrap up episode 5. You know, there's nothing too profound to say about it. It just kind of is what it is, and it's a fun part of our industry that we get to work in different spaces. So I hope you enjoyed that. I enjoyed speaking about stage and screen. So yeah, episode 6 is next. And episode 6 is called The Day Job versus the Dream, which I'm really excited to talk about with this one, because I feel like if any episode was to encapsulate me at the moment, it's that one. So yeah, Day Job versus the Dream will be episode 6 coming soon. So yeah, thank you for listening and for watching. Enjoy the rest of your week, and I will see you next time. Bye.